This morning, President Biden crossing into the war zone. Unprecedented security in the capital, Kyiv, as all major roads are sealed off. Hundreds of armed police and army lining the streets. Ukraine low on ammunition and firepower. Today, Biden announcing more military aid.
Freedom is priceless. It's worth fighting for as long as it takes. And that's how long we're going to be with you, Mr. President, for as long as it takes.
We'll do it.
Thank you, President.
I agree with the president. I do. Freedom is priceless. And I'm certainly glad that the United States is showing ourselves to be a true ally with the Ukraine people, because if it was happening to us, we want Ukraine and others to come to our rescue. Freedom is indeed priceless, sisters and brothers and family and friends. But what about the freedom to be able to live a good life in this country? What about the freedom to be able to afford your groceries or your rent or your mortgage? What about the freedom to be able to have sick time on your job? What about the freedom to know that your children and your children's children will have a better outlook on life than you have today? What about that freedom? This president could take a page out of President FDR's book, all right? And President FDR was not perfect. We understand that. We're gonna put that in the parking lot. I'm not here to talk about that today. But during World War II, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt had enough common sense, as my grandma used to say, and maybe your grandmas did too, common sense ain't common, to know that the American people were fatigued from being on the battle line, the battlefields, literally and figuratively in World War II. And he vowed to the American people, this sacrifice you making, we gonna take care of you at home. He talked about the freedom from want, abroad and at home. The New Deal of the 1940s was born because of some of this stuff. He didn't just dilly-dally and go down the yellow brick road in World War II and other people's lands without understanding that the American people needed some stuff too. Now you're gonna hear me talk about this ad nauseum, because I firmly believe that for every dollar, billions of dollars that we send over there to Ukraine, we need to be spending it here. He done sold out the rail workers by not letting them have their sick time, putting them rail barons on notice. No, but he asked Congress to act, and they can't even go on strike. Inflation is still running rampant. 63% of Americans still living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford eggs, but they barely can afford chicken wings. Chicken wings cheaper than eggs. What in the hell? See, this is the kind of stuff that we talking about, freedom fighters talk about. Galloping over there, you could have stopped that jet. Air Force One could have stopped in East Palestine, Ohio. But oh no, he all up over there. Lord have mercy on my soul. A.B, go on and jump in here. I got more to say, but I'm just gonna let you get on in here.
I mean, freedom might be pricey, but it's getting real expensive for the American people.
You better say that.
You know, I mean, and I wholeheartedly agree that the same money that we are sending over there to Ukraine, we could be investing here in America. I mean, we have been crying about student loan relief, right? Another type of relief that the American citizens need here. And I mean, it's seemingly impossible. We're tied up in our courts with it. And once again, we get well, there's nothing we can do right now, or we're gonna give you a little bit here, we're gonna put a little bit on it, we're gonna put 10% on it today, but you're giving 90% over to Ukraine, which again, I do understand why we are fighting and why we are supporting Ukraine, and I'm not discrediting that at all. But what I'm also saying is we can't forget about home, because without home here, without the American people being on board with what's going on, y'all don't have the money to send to Ukraine, right? When you think about inflation, it's coming out of our pockets, right? When you think about the corporations are fighting you to not even pay a fair share of taxes, when if they did that, we can offset some of the issues that we have. We got a problem here first. And so my issue with that is, again, it's cool that you over there and you showing, P that, hey, we strong too, we got this, we sticking together. But at what point do you stick with the American people here, with the country that is keeping us afloat, with the country that voted for you to be our leader and our commander in chief? And we are sitting here letting you know we are unhappy, right? We are struggling. We are starving in some places, right? People don't got clean water, all right, from here and there. The gas is burning, there's fires all over California. And yet every single day we get headlines about billions of dollars, millions of dollars being shipped over to Ukraine to help them fight this war. We gonna have to find another way. Now, somebody gonna have to dip in their pocketbook and sprinkle some on the American people, hold us off for a minute. Cause we look real revolutionary. That's all I'm gonna say.
I know that's right, AB. Let the sprinkling begin. We need to sprinkle some of that on the American people. I know that's right. Yes. President Biden and Mr. Buttigieg should have immediately made the visit to East Palestine and seen the aftermath for themselves. Not read about it, not talk about it in the luxury of the White House or in the Capitol, but actually take your behind, gas up the jet, take Air Force One, and come on into Ohio. Come on in here. They should have did that. They have yet to do that. They failed in that. They're failing right now to regulate the rail industry right this moment. They can put a stop to it anytime they want to. The power is absolutely in their hands. And as for the Ukraine, let's put up this headline. In a surprise visit to Kyiv, Biden approves $500 million in aid as war nears 1 year mark. I want to know, what is the plan to end this war? Inquiring minds want to know. I'm sure I'm not the only one that wants to know. AB wants to know it too. The people in East Palestine, they want to know too. People in Chicago, Illinois, hello somebody, they want to know too. People in Iowa want to know. People in California want to know. People in South Dakota, North Dakota, they want to know. People in New Hampshire, they want to know. Okay, they want to know all over the country. What's the plan? We already near a year in. The assistance package announced by the US president includes anti-tank missiles and other weaponry. Again, we have long said, I'm saying it ad nauseum. We get it, we support Ukraine, we are allied to Ukraine, and we got to get in there because Putin is wrong all day long and twice on Sundays. But really, for every dollar that goes over there, they need to sprinkle. Like that, they need to do some sprinkling over here in the United States of America. So far in this space, do you want to know how much of our tax dollars has? I'm glad you asked. We're gonna tell you that the US has provided over 100 billion with a B, capitalize it, underscored, exclamation point, message in a bottle on the train. US aid to the Ukraine so far tops $112 billion. Congress approved more than $112 billion in aid to Ukraine in 4 spending bills last year. More than half of that aid is for military assistance. So let me get this right. They were able to spend that money, but they weren't able to renew the child tax credit. Please make it make sense for me. And they did that in a very bipartisan way, but sitting up here playing games with the child tax credit. Couldn't renew that. Couldn't be bothered. Couldn't be bothered to pass universal health care. Couldn't be bothered to increase the federal minimum wage. Couldn't be bothered to do any of them things. But baby, when it comes to war, they are always ready, willing, and able to make war. And there's nothing about war that can bring peace. Hello, somebody? Where's the diplomacy? I'm old enough to remember when the Congressional Progressive Caucus wrote a little note, and folks on the neoliberal side got all up in arms, and then they rescinded the note and tried to blame the intern for writing the note. And all they were saying is, let's have some diplomacy. It was nothing wrong with it. And I only remember one congressperson standing up, and that was Congressman Ro Khanna, saying he didn't see nothing wrong with the note. And he was right. There wasn't nothing wrong with the note. The Congressional Progressive Caucus needs to grow a spine. That's what they need to do. But I'm gonna say that for another story. Meanwhile, in the States, people of East Palestine are suffering the child tax credit, all that stuff that I just said. For perspective, check out this tweet from Dr. Robert Reich. I guess we didn't have, I wish we could have put up our graphic there, but we got Dr. Robert Reich. 12 billion, the cost of expanding the child tax credit to 19 million children who had not been able to receive full benefits. You see that? You see that, America? That's Dr. Robert Reich, former labor secretary under President Bill Clinton. 12, so anybody know the numbers? Dr. Robert Reich knows the numbers. Okay, $12 billion, the cost of expanding the child tax credit to 19 million children who have not been able to receive the full benefits. $12 billion. Let me see. $112 billion. 12 billion. Okay. See, that math ain't mathing. I'm quoting Andrew Yang. The secretary goes on in his tweet, 858 billion. The cost of the latest defense bill. $12 billion for 19 million children. AB, you see where I'm going with this? $12 billion for 19 million children versus 858 billion, the cost of the latest defense budget, and 112 billion and counting to the Ukraine. Can we guess? Can you guess which one Congress claimed it can't afford to fund? These special people. Woo! I almost said something. These special people decided that funding the military industrial complex was more important than extending the child tax credit, renewing and extending that child tax credit for 19 million children in this country. I'm gonna tell you something, it is a stain. It is a shame and it is a stain on this country, America. And we gotta stop letting these people do this kind of stuff in our name. We all should be ashamed. It's a stain on this country. So with regards to the war, Biden's administration, along with other world leaders involved in the efforts, would be wise to follow President Lula of Brazil. Put up this headline: Lula calls for peace at meetings with Russia and Ukraine representatives. President Lula, thank you for having the intestinal fortitude to call on peace. Because this war can't go on forever. We can't afford it. Mentally, physically, spiritually, or economically cannot afford it. Thank you, President Lula. Intestinal fortitude. A lot of these leaders ain't got much of it.